We are here in the Manhattan office in New York. We've got a room full of people. This is our second open house with Dr. Malemi. And we're here because people that you know have no idea that there's any way to get help. And most people believe that if you get an OWCP injury, that it's over, that there's no way to get a claim approved, and only bad things are going to happen to you, which is true, but not here. Nationwide, 14% of people have accepted claims. Did everybody here know that? 14%. Does that sound bad or bad? At federal injury centers, nearly 100% of people have accepted claims. So that's what we're about. We get claims accepted, but the other thing we do is we pay attention to what your needs are. And we know that when you get hurt at work, you're not getting paid. And that's a big deal. So we also know that the surest way to get paid, this is a criticism, the surest way to get paid is to clock in. If you can go to work and clock in, you get paid, even on restrictions. And what we found out today, Joe did some research. Joe's back here. He's the one that brings franchisees on. By the way, he's here with us tonight. We found out that our lowest number of any office that we have around the country, 93% of people are back to work at some level. Some of our offices are back to work 100%. So when I say that, I get asked, well, so what are you, the company doctor? No. Okay, just before we went live on here, I was saying that there's nothing more powerful than a common enemy, which is management, and that's their fault, not mine. Because I come from a management background. I know how to treat you all right. If you work for me, you'd all be very happy. But they don't get that. And we spent 8 hours yesterday with Rich Ray. Rich, I know you're watching. And Rich told us, and he's a NALC union rep, that management just treats everybody so poorly. And I said, well, gosh, if I was management, everyone would be happy. In fact, nobody would report work injuries. They'd be so happy to see me every day. But that's not your experience, unfortunately. But my message to supervisors is, hey, don't treat people so badly, because when they get the help they need right away, they get back to work fast. And that's what they want. Go back to work. That's what you want. Rich told me, 3 years ago, we just met him by chance. He said, Chris, I'm tired of seeing my carriers go homeless. Anybody here know anybody that had that problem? Or that's thinking about it? Like, how am I going to pay my bills tomorrow? Okay, so we have 2 people here right now that are saying, yeah, that's me. Well, when your claim gets accepted, you get all the benefits. When your claim's denied, you get none of the benefits. 0 of the benefits. Meaning you can't get paid. You can't get paid. You can't work because you're hurt. But you have to work because the rent's due. So what are you going to do? Well, too many people are going homeless, and worse. So we have nearly 100% accepted claims, and 93% on the low end return to work, which means people are clocking in, and they don't have to worry about it. So that's why we're doing this open house tonight. But I read the study. You say because, and it doesn't matter what comes next. Just say because, and people are like, what's the reason? Well, our reason's really good, because when we help you, you don't have to go homeless. And people don't know. They have no idea. It's crazy. We've been doing this, Gini and I. Gini's in the back too. She'll never be on this camera. But in 2016, Gini said, we should do Facebook Live. I'm like, what's Facebook Live? I think it was pretty new. It was I think Facebook Live started in 2013, I think. I don't know. We were a little bit late. But she said, we should do Facebook Live and talk about work comp. It's like, who the hell is going to watch a show about work comp? That's so boring. I think I'm a little interesting, and I cannot make a boring topic interesting. Well, it turns out a lot of people, in the last 90 days, 1 million people saw our Facebook pages. That's insane. What are you people doing? Why are you watching me on a Wednesday night talking about work comp?
Because I got nobody answering that question.
It turns out there's nobody else helping.
That's
right? There's nobody doing it. And I told her that she was crazy for thinking that we could do this. And as a result of that, we've helped so many people. But we're just barely scratching the surface. We've just now surpassed 5,000 accepted claims. 5,000. There's nearly 3 million federal employees. And the fact that only 14% have accepted claims has nothing to do with the total number of injuries. Because they don't report that. You know what you don't get to hear about? We don't hear how many people got injured and didn't report their claim. Because how do you track that? They didn't say anything. They're just toughing it out. Or they're the, as I call it, rub some dirt on it crowd. Well, you rub some dirt on it, you can start losing benefits. So I have people in the room, I'm gonna ask for this, show of hands, who would like to lose any benefits? You're a federal employee, you have rights. Who would like to give up some of those? Any of them? Of course not. You know, you have friends at work that are suffering with this. They got hurt last week, last month, last year, and they haven't reported. You know, when you report your injury right away, somebody pays your medical bills for 60 days. That's crazy. Nobody knows about it. And I'm really sorry if you disapprove of this, but I'm going to say it anyways. The Department of Labor, who I love, and I think their investigators are fantastic people. And I'd like to have a beer with all of them, especially the guy that sent me a letter saying, take the CA16 off your website. So we were required, they forced us to take it down. That means you're never going to see it again if you don't ask for it. The CA16 pays your medical bills for 60 days. Did you get one? You did. Okay. How'd you do it?
Ask my supervisor for it.
Why'd you even know about it?
Because I'm like an investigator and I do everything on my own.
Most people aren't like you. So she said, I do everything on my own. I figure shit out.
I did some
But this thing
investigation.
where you put up a handle, it's like I-
Did you get a CA16? Did you get a CA16? Didn't know about it. Did you get one? You got one? Did you get one? Did you know about it?
No.
Okay, so one, did you know about it?
I've seen it a lot, I know, I see CA16, CA20, CA7.
Okay, so half of the people in this room knew about a CA16. That's the problem. It's invisible. And now I can't even have it on my website. So good luck, but ask for it. But the reason I even bring it up is because the people are waiting. I don't want to mess with this. I hear OWCP is a pain, it's a hassle. I don't want to do this. So they wait a month. Well, it didn't get better. Oh my goodness, it's not better. Guess what you just lost? You lost 45 days of time off. Now, who would like to be paid to be off if you can't work? Everybody should raise both hands, of course. But you waited 30 days because OWCP is a hassle. I don't want to report it. My supervisor's going to be mad at me. Everyone in this room has a book. If you were here, you'd have one too. And it's the 25 things you can do to win an OWCP. Everyone turn to number 25. Please. And if you've got the PDF online, okay. What does number 25 say? The table of contents will get you there too. 25 says, forget your supervisor's feelings. 20.
Oh.
You're famous, she's gonna count.
Right,
Right, isn't 25 forget your supervisor's feelings? Yeah. I don't care what my supervisor thinks. Now look, I don't want management to be mad at you any more than they already are. I don't know why they seem to hate you. If they loved you the way I do, they would just help you. But they're not that helpful, are they?
They didn't want to.
They didn't want to do any of that.
Any of my paperwork.
They don't want you to have that book right now. So maybe show it to them. Gotcha.
Well, I haven't seen them.
But this is the problem. And so that is why we do these open houses, because we're just trying to get people to know that there's another way to go. You don't have to suffer through this. Your management has no power over you. You know what their job is? Fill out the forms and get the hell out of the way. That's their only job. They think they have other power. They tell you, you can't go to the doctor you want to go to. You have to go to the surgeon care. Right, well that's crap. The law says you can choose any doctor you want. And by the way, you don't have to choose us. That's fine. If losing feels good, do something else. But you don't have to do that. You don't have to. But every one of you should go back to work tomorrow. If you're off of work, go anyways and tell people, hey, you don't have to do this anymore. Nobody has to suffer with this anymore. And that's a thing that makes me personally very emotional because I've seen it. I mean, we've seen people kill themselves. And I don't want to minimize it over a back injury. Okay, look, I got a back injury. But it didn't have to be that way. It didn't have to be like that. Everyone can get their claim accepted. Everyone can get back to work. So that's what we're doing here. And I'd like to say I have more to say than that, but I don't. From here, what I need is for everyone here to tell somebody. You don't have to suffer like this. And everybody online, tell somebody, you don't have to suffer like this. We're in 27 states now. We're growing. But we're here. New York City, by the way, is where we're at. And we're here. Is it a pain to get here? Of course it's a pain to get here. I can't believe it took 45 minutes to go 5 blocks. But, another criticism, the pain of the injury is far worse than the pain of the drive. Getting here, this sucks. Having a denied claim sucks way worse. I'm telling you. Who here had a denied claim? Anybody? Denied claim? Anybody? Is it approved now?
Now it is.
Yeah, it's approved now. How about you?
Mine's still pending.
Still pending? It's getting approved, trust me. How about
No,
you?
something I do at the beginning, and then you have to
Yeah.
go, you gotta do it again.
Right, but you know what a lot of doctors do? The claim gets denied and they're like, wait, I'm not writing another report.
Yeah.
I wrote it already. You figure it out. You know what we do? We go again. We go again. We go again, and we never stop.
It's
We
not
just
what the
go
doctor
again.
says, it's how he writes it.
It's how we write it. Exactly right. Yeah. And lazy medical reports equal denied claims.
Mhm.
Our reports are 5 pages long. You think it's lazy? We're putting some extra time into it. So, you know, that's the message time. Tell somebody else. I like to do this. Do we have brochures? Okay. Raise both hands if you're willing to tell somebody, right? I mean, like, do you have a friend at work? Does anybody have a friend at work? All right, well, if you don't have any, your job is to go to work tomorrow and find a friend. Because chances are they need help. And I know I'm making light of it, but seriously, like Rich said, I'm tired of seeing my carriers go homeless. Me too. Me too. And that night, and by the way, we were doing a training on Zoom the first time we met Rich. What time did it start?
8,
What time did it end?
a little after
A
midnight.
little after midnight. You know why? I want to help. But I can only help the ones that can hear me. And so we put it up live on social media because we want to reach more people so they can hear. And we tell you, but the truth is, like, the power of what we're doing is in you. The power is not in me. Like, I'm just talking to who's listening. But you can make more people listen. More people can know this is happening, you know? And that's why we do this. So I'm going to open it up to questions. Does anybody there have any? And anybody here?
There's a Jordan Lamb. He said, I've been injured as of January 18th and have been looking for another job that is not as tedious. I got a job offer that it was not as tedious. And I'm wondering, what is the best way to go about it? Should I resign and get cleared for my medical condition, even though I don't feel 100%, or should I just resign?
Wow, I wish that wasn't the first question. I would not tell you to resign because you got to pay your bills. I will say this, you can resign and have lifetime medical benefits still. Once your claim's accepted, you can go work anywhere else. It doesn't matter. You'll be covered for the rest of your life. So whether you decide to resign or not, just know that file your claim, get the claim accepted, and then do whatever you want, you'll be able to.
That's all.
That's it.
So far.
Okay.
So you can still get your medical claims paid even if
Yes.
you resign from the job?
Absolutely, yes.
Oh.
Yeah, you can go work anywhere else. When your claim's accepted, the government is on the hook for you. They have to pay all your medical bills no matter what.
Only
You can work
on the
anywhere.
injury, only on the injury.
Only on the injury. That's exactly
Right,
right.
that's what I meant.
If you get the flu later, you can't.
No, it's only on the injury.
Only on the injury. That's exactly right.
How long?
Correct. So OWCP gives you lifetime medical benefits. So anytime there's a flare-up, they cover it. You get a flare-up 20 years from now, it's covered. Now, you'll need a doctor to prove that that flare-up is related to that name, but it's covered. You just need somebody like us that knows how to write that report. Who else? Come on.
Do you charge for those reports?
We don't charge for it. I've been doing federal workers' comp since 2007, and I've never taken a penny from anybody ever.
I had a doctor charge me for every report.
Well, that's the wrong
Narrative.
doctor. Yeah, that's wrong.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, if our doctors did that, they wouldn't, so I can say this very confidently. If they did it, I just fired them. They're just gone. We'd never take a penny. We never would. See, when you do a good job, OWCP pays you. So Department of Labor is the payer, just like Medicare, just like Blue Cross Blue Shield. They pay your bills. And when we do a good job, they pay our bills. When we do a bad job, should we get paid? Why? You're not getting paid. Why should I get paid? Why should Dr. Malimi get paid? You're not getting paid. So that's our model. Never take a penny, ever.
Did you ever work for the federal government? You and your wife?
Never. No, you know what? I worked for a doctor in Texas. That's where I'm from. I learned this by accident. Realized I was pretty good at it. Joe was my consultant. He's a chiropractor. Joe was my consultant. When I left that office, he called me on my cell phone, I think the same day, and said, "You ready to get started?" With what? He goes, "Your idea." I don't have it. It was his. So very much, Joe.
Am I entitled to my benefits from when they cut my case off? Because I've been trying to get a reconsideration ever since,
Yeah,
and they keep denying it. That's how I ended up here.
yeah.
Dr. Maloney is obviously doing my paperwork for me, but would I be able to get whatever benefits I didn't get since it was?
So let's say you're off and you weren't getting paid.
Mhm.
Yes. You
Well,
can
I
get
was
that
on
back.
light duty, so at first I was getting paid when I went back to work from the light duty, but it's been quite a few months now that
Yeah.
they stopped paying it because they sent me to their doctor and he said I was cleared for work,
Oh, the second opinion doctors are great for that.
and I
Yeah.
actually wasn't. And I went to a couple of doctors after that. Well, actually one doctor after that. And he was writing my my letters to get it reconsidered and reopened. I guess he wasn't writing it to their standard.
For sure not.
So that's how like I said, ended up here. But I was only getting paid for the time that I was at work and not those
Not the
couple of
other time.
hours that I was supposed to be getting the
You're gonna get that back.
Okay.
You're gonna get that back. So OWCP allows you to get paid for time off. They allow you to get paid for money you spend out of pocket. And you know why people spend money out of pocket? Because there's not enough of us around. And the other doctors want your money. We don't want it. You can also get paid for your travel back and forth to the doctor. You can get all that back once your case is totally opened up.
And another question.
Yeah.
Say you got hurt again on the job during that light duty time.
Sure. Happens all the
How
time.
does that work when you are trying to get a reconsideration reopened and then you have a new case?
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure I restate this question because this is actually really common. The question is, what if I've got an injury already and I get hurt again when I'm back at work, even on limited duty, right?
But
Well,
for
now
a
you have-
different injury.
Well, now you have two claims. You just got hurt again. It's very common. You wouldn't believe the number of people that have 3 injury claims, or 4, or 5. You wouldn't believe it. You work for the post office, right? I've heard it's a hard job. Okay. 70 pounds weighs 70 pounds, and that's what your job description says you have to lift on a regular basis. If you're a carrier, you're wearing a 35-pound satchel. You're not supposed to have a second one, but they do it all the time, right? And when you're here, like I've been watching it, okay? I saw the mailman today running down the street. Okay, I saw it. Like, well, this is slippery. Something bad's about to happen. Okay, that happens. But you're up and down, out of your LLBs all the time. If you work inside, you're picking up the packages too. You're emptying the trucks. That getting in car wrecks happens all the time. So there's a lot of people with multiple injuries because your job is tough. That's hard. And you can have them running at the same time. So let's say that you're off work for this one and they're not paying you. But if you're off work for this one and they are paying you, you're getting paid. So we're happy about that. They're not paying you on that one, but how many times can you get paid? Just once. You get your hours and that's what you get. That's how it works. I don't want people to get hurt multiple times, but unfortunately it happens. It's the reality. And they let you have them running side by side. What's that? Well, they want to fire you, but they cannot legally fire you. OSHA says that you have a right to report a work injury. It's your 6th employee right. And they tell you on another page, it's a crime to prevent you from exercising your rights. That's OSHA. 1-800-321-OSHA. And it happens all the time. People are threatened all the time. I'm supposed to be nice to management. People are threatened all the time when they get hurt at work. How do you be nice to those people? And then guess what? They may be watching. We have supervisors that get treated some of our offices. It's all fun and games until it's you. Yeah, let's fire you now. Let's see what happens next. Go ahead.
When you get hurt, there's a form, like when you get therapy or whatever.
Sure.
Say you never able to use it here, so whatever caused you hurt, like a percent fine, something.
Oh, the CA-17.
Okay, no. Okay, so you have a really soft voice and I'm really deaf, but I heard what you said. She's asking about scheduled awards. So she's asking, there's a percentage, you're talking about scheduled award. I always get asked about scheduled award. The problem is the answer to scheduled award questions is about an 8-hour lecture. It's so confusing, but I'll tell you this. If you have an injury It's not about fair. They don't rate that. But anything else, like your arms, your legs,
But you can't do it when you're on workman's comp, 'cause they ended up.
you can't do it at the same time.
No.
They don't let you
And I'm not supposed to say anymore that they're either dumb or playing dumb, but I don't know. You figure it out. I'm not sure they'll even understand me when I'm talking, but I'm supposed to be nice to them, so I will. Any other questions? Hey, what's happening with our screen over there?
The
Huh.
Wi-Fi.
All right, well, that's fine. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for my personal situation, I just wanted to know. So now I'm coming to the end of my 45 days.
Of your COP.
So now I was told that going forward, I have to every 2 weeks go on eComp and do a CA7.
So,
That explained to me.
all right, so there's no rule on this that I've ever found, and I've read everything. But in the process of reading everything, I also read a letter from a claims examiner once that told somebody to turn your CA7s in every 2 weeks. So I'd just go with that. They probably have a reason for that. But if your claim's not accepted, you're not getting paid.
Well, no, I've already,
Your claim's accepted.
yeah, it's
Oh.
accepted. Yeah, I've been getting paid the COP,
Yeah, but that doesn't mean your claim's accepted. So COP will pay you until either A, your 45 days is over, or B, your claim gets accepted. If your claim gets accepted, they automatically stop COP. Thank God. Yeah, so turn it in every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Every 2 weeks.
After the fact. So in other words, like, this is my last week of the 45 days. I can't do it. I gotta wait 2 weeks and do it behind.
But start documenting the day COP is over. Start documenting on your CA7s.
Okay. I
Yeah.
just want to make, because I tried to do it, and a thing popped up, said you can't do future dates, which, all right, it makes sense.
Right, of course.
But I just wanted to make sure, because the person that's designated from my union, who already, thinks I'm a pain because I constantly call them torture, she told me, no, you have to do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it has to be behind. You can't do
It's
it
for the
before.
last 2 weeks.
Which, okay, so I just wanted to make sure. And now,
They want to pay you on a regular basis is why. Now I say they want to pay you. It's not their money. The claim examiner is just checking off boxes,
right, so then it gets sent to the supervisor.
So the CA7, you fill it out on eComp.
Right.
But the second page of that is for the supervisor. So yeah, they got to do a thing.
So they have to do it.
Yeah.
And when the option comes up, it says there's like 5 different options. I was told to choose leave without pay
LWAP for sure.
always.
100%.
Okay.
LWAP.
So
What's
this
that?
way, they don't take my hours. That's the whole thing. I don't want.
You want to use your sick and annual leave. That's
Right,
yours.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's yours. No, you use
But
LWAP.
my claim was accepted weeks ago. I mean, so I don't think that I'm gonna have.
You still need the doctor to write a narrative that explains why you're out of work. It's crazy, but be sure you get that.
Narrative.
He's going to write a report,
Okay.
and it's going to explain medically why you're not working when you're not working. And if you don't turn that in with your CA7, you'll never get paid. So be sure you turn that in with it.
Just a regular document.
Yeah, he knows what to do. Just you need we call it a disability narrative. Nobody else calls it that. That's what we call it. So just remember that. Tell him you needed that, and he'll write that for you. You'll get paid.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
it has to be leave without pay?
Leave without pay, for sure. So it sounds counterintuitive, like, well, I don't want to leave without pay. Well, you left without pay, and so they're going to pay you. That's what LWAP is.
I thought it was continuous.
Well, continuation of pay is different. If you report your CA1 injury within 30 days, then you're eligible for continuation of pay, COP, for 45 days. But after the 45 days, there's another way to get paid when your claim's accepted, and it's LWAP, leave without pay. We're going to help you with that.
This is a continuation of Jordan Lamb.
Okay.
He said, should I let my employer know that I haven't been on work comp? My next follow-up appointment is scheduled for May 15th, but this new job gave me an offer that would start as early as April 8th. This new job is more stationary. Do I need to get cleared first before I start my new job?
Well, okay, so anybody that wants to go back to work, which I think should be everybody because clocking in is the best way to get paid, they need a CA17 duty status report from their doctor, regardless of what job they're going back to. The CA17 needs to indicate they can do that job. So that's going to be the key. It's just, does the job match your doctor's restrictions? Whatever it is, as long as it matches, do it. But the other thing I'll tell you is it's your decision. If you want to go against doctor's orders and go against restrictions, you can. Just don't recommend it, because the best way to get better is don't do that.
Sandra said, I had a rotator cuff surgery in 2000 in my right shoulder. It's bothering me again. Can I claim it for a second time?
Well, if it's the same injury and that's a doctor's decision, not yours and not mine, you got to go to the doctor and say, is this the same injury? If it's the same injury, then it's a recurrence. It's a CA2A. But if it's a different thing, even at all, like, I could have like a AC joint that's got a problem. My shoulder hurts real bad, which happens to be happening. But then I can hurt like the bicep tendon, but it feels the same because they're kind of attached to the same place. I need to find out from the doctor, is this the same thing or something new? If it's something new, file a new claim. If it's the same thing, file a recurrence.
James Clark said, I have a member who filed a claim for mental stress due to sexual harassment by her supervisor. Denied lack of medical, doctor submitted with restrictions of working for that supervisor. USPS said they made LDO based on the denied claim. They won't allow her back unless she removes the restrictions. Is that CA-17 valid in a denied claim?
Well, with the denied claim, they don't actually have to take that CA-17. But, by the way, that's a supervisor I will not be nice to. And because of the situation, man, the claim's got to get accepted, okay? First of all, for whatever the mental disorder is, which is reasonable, that's got to get accepted. And once it is, they have to accept the limitations, the CA-17. But right now, they don't have to. They could just be jerks about it. And it sounds like that's what's happening. I want to say worse words than that, so I'll just be quiet.
How does the leave buyback program work?
It's not fair either.
Your leave.
Yeah, that's not fair. But again, none of this is about fair. So what happens is there's a form called a CA-7B, a leave buyback form. And it's essentially a worksheet to see what it's going to cost you to get your time back. I told you it's not fair.
But I know for a fact that if you go to retire, and let's say somebody has an injury the last 2 or 3 years, if you go back to work, that time counts as time served.
Yes.
Service.
Yeah, that's right.
A lot of people don't realize that.
That's
But
right.
it's counted, and some union guys are telling employees that it doesn't when it does.
It counts.
It counts as years of service.
Of course.
As long as it's an accepted case.
And that's going to matter when you retire.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is. As
it's a
long
big
as
deal.
it's an accepted case. Yeah.
Imagine if it's a few years. That's a big
It
thing.
is a big thing.
That's right.
Sorry, just follow up.
It's fine.
Does it, is it worth it to do the leave buyback?
I hoped you wouldn't ask that. That's a personal decision.
Okay.
When you look at it, if it's worth getting. So for me, here's what would make it worth it. If I could get 10 days back for the price of 1 day, I'm doing it all day long. Okay, I think like that. You may not think like that.
So when you're on comp, you have to pay them back.
To get time back, let's say you use annual leave. You can buy that time back. Yeah, it's not fair.
So it wasn't my decision to use my time? They did it anyway?
They don't care.
Okay, so,
Now, they can recode that time. They can recode it. Like, here's what happens a lot of times. Someone will be on COP, and they'll take annual leave. Here's what I know, is that the supervisor can go in and change the coding of that to COP and just fix it.
okay.
And that's why you want to know who your union reps are.
Okay, and as far as COP, since they used my annual leave instead of COP having started, does the COP start from the day that they gave me COP, or does it start from the annual leave that they were given?
All right, so COP should start you're at the post office, your 3rd day off. And if you're out 2 full weeks, they give you the 3 days back.
So what they did to me was, they paid me for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks with my time. Then they, within one of that last week, of the 4 weeks they were paying me, they didn't pay me for 3 days, and then they started the COP.
You should go, don't say the name. Do you know which supervisor coded it?
I'm sure I do.
You should just ask, are you dumb or playing dumb? Like, what happened here? They can fix this easily. But the only way they're really going to do it is if you get your union involved. Somebody's going to have to push them or kick them in the butt, right? That's going to have to happen. I don't condone violence. I don't mean it literally, but that's going to have to happen. Don't kick people in the butt. They don't like it.
So then if they don't change it and fix it,
Then you have to buy it back.
okay.
That's not fair. But that's a whole different kind of fair because management screwed up.
But that's still a part of the 45 days.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have COP for 45 days, it shouldn't be coded as annual leave. If you report your injury within 30 days, you're eligible for this, period.
Yeah, so if you report it right away, or you say it takes 30 days, right? Because my supervisor.
No. You have to do it within 30 days.
Right,
The best time to report is now.
but so my supervisor, I went in the next day because I was like, shit, yeah. And then I went to the emergency the following day. And when I went back with the form from the emergency room, and I told her she had to fill it out so I could take it back, she was like, well, your 45 days accept because you came in a couple of days. I said, it was only 1 day. And she said, well, it's exempt. It's no longer enough, but you're not going to get paid 45 days. So I said, what? Fill out the paper or leave it alone. And I just.
If you report it on day 30, you will now get 45 days. That's the rule.
Report it to
your supervisor.
No, so I did.
I don't care if you send smoke screens, and the smoke screens, they say, I'm hurt. It doesn't matter. You reported it. They say, well, you didn't fill out the CA1. That's not what it says. It says report to supervisor. You did it. You should have been on COP the whole time. So should you.
So now, if you report an injury to your supervisor a couple of days after the injury happened, does that automatically deny your claim?
No.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely not. That's why they say just do it within 30 days. To get a CA16, they say report within 7 days. There's no rule that says you must report now. Even the CA10, the CA10 is this form that's called what a federal employee should do when injured at work. Who's ever heard of that form, by the way? CA10, what a federal employee should do when injured at work. Doesn't that seem important? Like, it might tell you what to do if you get hurt at work. Right.
I
So
heard them get penalized, the employee, if they don't report it immediately.
So the post office will do that.
Yes.
And then they'll penalize you if you do, but in different ways, through harassment and stuff.
For my first injury that I reported 3 days later because I went to the hospital the day after when I left work because I had a concussion and I didn't know it. And they wrote me up and took me into the postmaster's office. And I was in
You had a
trouble.
concussion and didn't know it because you're not a doctor?
Right.
Yeah.
But I got in trouble and written up. And
Yeah, they try to put it on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it was 3 days later.
It's discrimination tactics.
Oh, it happens all the time. So I was talking about this form CA10. It's broken down in these 5 parts, and it just tells you what to do. Report to supervisor, go to eComp, fill out a CA1, get COP. You can choose your own doctor. It's a really helpful form that nobody's ever heard of. Well, in the old days, and again, meaning just a few years ago, the bottom of the form said post on employee's bulletin board. Okay, so who here has been with their agency less than 10 years? How long?
Only 4 years.
4 years. How long?
1 year.
How long?
1 year.
1 year.
I could have sworn you said 1 day. I was like, holy cow.
I'm gonna be quick.
4 years. Okay. So less than 4 years ago, it said post on employee's bulletin board. It was, nobody ever saw that, right? Wasn't posted anywhere. And nobody here has ever even heard of the form, right? Okay. So now they changed the form and it says post on the agency's website. So just a show of hands, who's going to go to your agency's website to look for a form you've never heard of?
Not when I see it.
You never heard of it.
No, I mean, I searched the whole manual. I went through everything to try, that's how I found all the information. I went through the handbook or whatever it was
Well,
online.
most people aren't like you and me and don't read all that
No,
stuff.
I
I know.
was angry. I was like, there was nobody answering my questions.
Yeah.
I couldn't walk,
I know. That's
so I had to.
That's everyone's story. I know. Well, the reason I brought up the CA10 is not just to say it's invisible now, because it is definitely invisible. But the first section of it says report to supervisor, I kid you not, as soon as possible. What does that mean to you? It's different to you than it is to me. You know what I say as soon as possible is? Right now. Now. And if you do it, you don't lose any benefits. They say as soon as possible. I think that's a setup. But I'm supposed to be nice to these people, so. Hey, can I have one of those? I've seen this before. All right, so look at that, post on agency's website. What everyone should do is go back and post this in your break rooms. It never was before, I know that, because nobody ever saw it. And every room I'm ever in is the same answer. Nobody's ever seen it. Did you get one? Here, you take mine. I know what it says already. Thanks. We just traded. So everybody, by the way, everybody online can go to federalinjurycenters.com and print one of these and post it on your bulletin board like it used to say. Because posting on agency's website is just dumb. You're not going to your agency's website for fun, and you're not going there to look for a form you never heard of. And when you don't hear of it, then you don't know what a federal employee should do when injured at work. Like I could just talk about this form, drop the mic and be finished. If this was just out there, there'd probably be way less of a need for me because it tells you what to do. This is the ABCs of it. So take it to work and post it. What other questions do we have? Any more questions online? Let me hear.
It's Jordan Lem again. He said the job I'm going back is a desk job, not related to USPS, but I still need to file a CA-17?
If it's a federal employer, yes.
Sandra said, does OWCP go against retirement time?
Well, you need to be at work for it to add to your time. You were just saying that.
Let's go get your time. As long as it's accepted case.
But if we all just get back to work as soon as possible, then that's a problem that we don't really have to deal with.
Said, do I need to get cleared by OWCP in order to start my new job at EDC? I don't want to get medically cleared since I'm still want to seek treatment while I'm at my new job.
That's not necessary. No, you don't have to do that.
And Victor said, at USPS, all the CA forms should be posted in all bulletin boards. It's the law.
It is not.
Well, Victor, it's not happening.
They have,
So,
I don't know about this one, but they have some stuff there that, like, you walk by, you don't know what you're reading because you've never seen it there before.
right.
So,
Yeah, when you don't, and I can speak from experience.
basically, they have service talk about everything, but they won't say, here, let's have a service talk now, today, we have these things posted everywhere.
Yeah.
So that you can read so we can be aware. But they don't have a service talk about somebody who fell yesterday and reported 2 days later, stuff like that.
So she's saying is that there's nobody out there that's telling them what to do, but you can come to Wednesday night OWCP chats with Chris and Gini, and we'll tell you every week. But I'm being very honest with you. I mean, like I've been doing this now for nearly 30 years. And when I first read this, it was like Japanese to me. It was very confusing. It was just a different language. I understand why most people, other than her, read the thing. It's very complicated. But if we just had this, it's less complicated.
It's meant to be that way.
I think so.
People don't want to be bothered. We just drag it through.
Yeah.
Then you give up.
That's right.
Well, how do you think they feel now that it's not 14% accepted claims when you come to federal injury centers?
What's that?
Well, it's not 14% when you come here. It's 100%. How do you think they feel? I don't think they're liking it that much. I'm nobody's best friend, except hopefully yours. Joe, you got something? Say it a little louder. Come. Everyone, this is Joe. Joe is my business partner. He is my consultant, and he's the reason we're all here.
Wow. Do I hold it or do something with it?
Hold it close to you. Yeah, that'll do.
I got off at the airport today at LaGuardia, and it was raining like the last time we were here. But the very best news is, as soon as I got off, I knew I was in the right place because I heard horns blowing. I said, I am home again.
He went to college with me.
My wife is probably listening to this, but we moved to Ohio, and I haven't heard a horn blow for a year. It's like, what's going on here? You can cut someone off and they won't even blow the horn. Here, if you're less, we were stuck in traffic, they're blowing the horn in front of people that are blowing their horn to get things going. So anyway.
Somebody over there wanted to be stopped.
So our focus is, and our past practices, we have done state workers' comp, and in this state, no fault and so forth. There was not a good resource to help injured federal workers. So when I met Chris and found out what he was doing, I said, you know what? That's going on in Texas, but in other parts of the country, we don't have a strong resource to help injured federal workers. And as caregivers, our focus is how can we help you so you don't have to suffer needlessly and you can get back to work, take care of your family, and so forth. When we found Dr. Malemi, I met Dr. Malemi probably a couple of years ago at a conference. Caring man, and by the way, he had a medical emergency in his family, so he couldn't be here tonight. That's what I understood. And so our condolences go to him and his family for their loss. But let me just tell you, the office is set up and geared for success for you to cater to what you need. It's not just the medical care. It's helping you navigate the forms, the CA7 that Chris talked about, applying for compensation. He mentioned some other forms, a travel form, 957 form, where if you come back and forth and you're doing, less than 100 miles, they'll pay you for that. But that's a form to be filled out. There's a 915 form. If you've paid money out, you can get that money back that he was talking about. Those are important things, but the most important thing is getting the care you need to help you get back to work and take care of your family. So here you have very few places you go into an office and you're going to see a medical doctor first. Most offices, urgent care, or other offices that treat like this, are you going to see maybe a chiropractor first? And by the way, I'm a chiropractor, so I'm not saying anything bad. But the only way your case gets unlocked is by seeing a medical provider, a medical doctor. You can have therapy by the chiropractor, but most other offices, you're going to see an NP or PA first. In this office, you're going to see the MD. Why is that important? Because the MD is the one who's going to finalize and get your case accepted and make certain you get the care and the benefits you need. Everyone else is adjunctive to that. In this office, you have the luxury of having someone who's not only an MD, he's a non-surgical orthopedist, meaning he specializes in muscle, joint, and spine problems. He works in a Surgicare down the street. He's got diagnostic testing here. He's got PTs and PTAs who work here, physical therapists whose job it is to work with people who have injured muscles and joints and tendons. This is not something they haven't seen before. This is what they were trained to do. You have something unique also. You have an acupuncturist here. No other office in the area has an acupuncturist on staff. So the office is well coordinated. You have at the front desk Jessica, who's been working here for a bit of time. She's going to help answer the calls and help with case management. It's hard to know everything that Chris knows. I don't know everything that Chris knows. That's a lot to know. But you're going to have people that can assist you like Jessica. And now we have a new person, Leslie, that's going to help with case management and picking up the phone call and returning phone calls right away. How many call an office and usually don't get a live person? If you go online to do anything online now, it's chat box, it's this, you want to return something to Amazon, why are you returning it, what's going on there? Here, you're going to have, this is a patient-centered model where you have medical first. On your first visit, now we had a protocol, we want you to work up the case first, then come in. The new protocol is if you're hurt and you call on a Wednesday, the next appointment's on a Friday, you're going to be in Friday, and you'll see the doctor. Now, when you see him for a complete examination, you have to get the paperwork started. You know that already, a CA1, a CA2 form, get everything you need to get going. But you're going to see someone who understands. Dr. Malemi has not just started doing this. He's been doing it for a while. But with coaching, you're going to have coaching in here. You're going to have the medical professionals to help you. You're going to have a trained staff that'll get you to the right spot. And by the way, if they can't help you here in terms of if you need other diagnostic testing, I see a gentleman from the MRI facility. They'll send you for an MRI because many times, as Chris talked about MMI, the only way to get MMI, and MMI stands for maximum medical improvement, you've gone through a course of care. You've had physical therapy, chiropractic, acupuncture for 6, 8 weeks, 6, 8 months, and you've gotten to the end of care where you're just not progressing. And maybe you're not back to work. So you're going to get a scheduled award, which is an impairment rating. So when Chris says rateable, it means that if this is 100% function in your arm and now you've lost 10%, that means you can get reimbursed for that 10% loss of function. If you lost a digit or you had a burn or you had a muscle tear or a tendon tear and it could not be repaired, it stands to reason that you're not the same physically as you were before the accident. The goal of any clinician is to get the patient, you, to a pre-injury status, if it's possible. But if you have a herniated disc, a muscle tear, or things that have gone wrong, it stands to reason you buy a new car and drive it off the lot. That car's new then. It's not going to be new after that. So to get you to a pre-injury status is an important feature. But if you can't get there, that's where the MMI, the maximum medical improvement, where the rating comes in. But back to the office, again, we went ahead and took a lot of the things we've done, and I've been out there for 40 years, practicing 40 years, and I no longer practice. This is my primary focus. And for 40 years, we've been told, hey, you can ration care, try to give the least amount of care possible, especially in a workers' comp claim, especially in New York with no fault and other things. You're giving ration care as opposed to what the patient needs. In this office, you'll get the care you need. It's not ration care. Hey, you only have 12 visits. You only have 5 visits. Dr. Malemi will write a report that indicates what your clinical situation is. If he feels as though you need further care or diagnostic testing or MRI with or without contrast, whatever is needed, you'll get that. And you'll have the guidance to fill out the right form so you're protected as well. And you always have Gini and Chris at your disposal. You can shoot a text in or a question on OWCP chats, or you can messenger her. Gini loves when people message her, any time of the day, by the way. And I saw
Try 2 o'clock in the morning. She's going to answer.
I saw a post. I said, that can't be right. I saw something at 3 o'clock this morning. I was waking up to get to the airport in Dayton. And I said, that can't be right. She's awake? I thought it was automated, but no, she was awake. So my point is that if you're injured or know someone who's injured, you're in a good spot. Just know that, number one. Number two, you're in a caring environment where the doctor cares. How many have met Dr. Malemi?
Oh, great.
Okay, good. When I met him, and again, he's not here. I'm sure it would be better if he was here to talk to you, but I can tell you that when I met with him, I met a lot of doctors, and I worked as a VP of physician services at a hospital for a lot of years, and I hired and fired quite a few doctors. You want someone who's caring, has a good bedside manner, and who listens, and he has all those qualities. Yeah, we have to do some of the other stuff to make sure the process goes on. The paperwork has to get filled out. We have to put your notes in the computer, but he's got a very able staff here who's excited to do things and help and support that. So I guess my takeaway for you is the following. You're going to see an MD, you have a trained staff, Jessica's going to answer the phone, Leslie's going to help you navigate with your patient, with your paperwork, whether it's a CA1 form or CA2, help you with all the paperwork needed to get your case open and started. And by the way, Chris was right. Of our top clinics, 93% is the lowest return to work rate. And why is that important? Because you've heard him say many times, the surest way to get paid is to clock in at work. It doesn't mean you're going to be at 100%, because some of our clinics are 100%. They send everyone back to work with restrictions. And that's what I used to do. Chris can go back to work, but he has limitations. He can't bend, lift, or twist more than 20 pounds. It's up to that supervisor then to give you a job that meets the medical requirements filled out by the doctor on the CA20, on the attending physician form, or the CA17. So all those things are important, but they only work if you keep your appointments, you follow through, and you're persistent. Let's face it, the system has always been, whether it's insurance-based or otherwise, wear you down. It's like, oh, I don't even want to deal with that anymore. But when you give up, there's no hope left. So as long as you keep on going, as long as you continue to get care, and it's not just for this, any type of care, right? If you suffer with migraines, Gini does, or other things, you need to find the right clinician, the right group that can help you get better so you can return to normal function. And no one's asking to do more than that. We're not pretending to say, you're going to feel like $1 million, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. We want you to get back to a pre-injury status or the very best you can for your situation. We do have people that have crushed vertebra, herniated discs, leg pain, and sometimes when that disc is herniated and it's fragmented, not even protruded and herniated, you can't be 100%, but you can be 80% maybe. Let's get you back to where you can be, or the very best you can be. So that's the focus here, and we're proud that this is the only clinic in the greater New York area here. We've got clinics in 2 clinics in New Jersey, and more coming here as well, hopefully. But just know you're in good hands. Caring doctor, caring staff, attentive, pick up the phone, which again is unusual. Every time I call someplace, go to our app for more immediate service. I don't want to go to the app. I just want to talk to someone, get an appointment, come in, see someone, and get my paperwork done. Go ahead.
There are employees that get hurt, like myself. I had spinal injury on the job. And then I had a laminectomy.
Mm-hmm.
I had therapy, and then I had to go on limited duty for X amount of time. So, the job agreed that they had a space for me, and I joined the other employees who had other injuries in limited duty. I think it was domestic case. Not even a year. And then we were called one by one into this big conference room. It was an intimidation tactic, one by one, they would take us. And I had a union guy here, the MBO, somebody typing up, and some doctors in the corner saying, well, listen, Ms. Ross, we don't have the job anymore, so it's either you go back to your regular duty, which is pulling hundreds of pounds in cages, or there's no work. Basically, they're going to kick you to the curb.
Yeah. So I'm smiling, but not because I think that's funny.
That's happening.
But you just led me right into what I was going to say when I walked back up here, because I didn't say this earlier and I needed to. 93% return to work is our number, right? Up to 100. But the cool thing is when we send you back with restrictions and the supervisor says we have nothing for you, they have to pay you to sit home.
No, but they say they do have it, and to make everybody happy. And then when we go as employees behind the doctor's back, they're saying, we don't care about your restrictions. You either do your job or you're out of here.
Well, and the rules on limited duty assignments state that the limited duty offer has to go to a claims examiner who works for Department of Labor, a third party. And then the claims examiner says, okay, we think there's good work for you here. And then you get to tell your doctor. Well, when the supervisor does that, there's a word in unions that starts with a G and ends with grievance. Okay, grievance. I would grieve the hell out of that.
Really? Well, the union rep was sitting right next to me in this committee room. I said, speak up anytime now. You're only paying
You're right.
because he was quiet as a church mouse because of the fact he wanted to keep his position sitting on his butt in the office doing nothing all day
Yeah.
until 1.
I
So
can't.
so he was crossing the thing. He didn't do anything to defend any of us.
So I can't fix that. All I can do is tell you
No,
what
I
the
know,
rules
but
are.
this is happening to all of us.
Yeah, I know.
You have to find a mediator anyway, because those
I'd probably go above that person.
Oh, yeah.
I
So
would.
part of what we found with that, and it doesn't take care of your entire question or thought there, is that when you have someone who's certified in physical medicine, someone who is up high on the food chain, on the ladder, so you have orthopedists, you have physical medicine doctors, and then you have primary care or internal medicine. A lot of times, Chris said,
Lowly chiropractors.
it goes to a second opinion. If that second opinion is not at the level of that specialist, the specialist has the trump card in that. The specialist, so a lot of times they'll say, well, we don't care what the specialist says. Well, why do they send you to a second opinion then? They
Right.
care what that person says. They can't have it both ways. I guess what I'm saying is that you have a specialist in the form of Dr. Malemi. What I have seen across the country, when a specialist weighs in, it's not 100%, but when a specialist weighs in and says, this is the way we think it is
It's a
here,
game changer.
it's a big game changer, because most of the people, when you go to urgent care, the emergency room, it's not a specialist. It's a PA, it's a internal medicine, it's an emergency room doc who says the following: listen, we didn't find any broken bones, no fracture, no dislocation, no pathology.
You're fine.
Here's a bunch of medication, go home, and if it persists, go see someone. And for years we saw that, only to say, hey, let's go have an MRI. MRI is done. Oh, well, somebody missed this because an X-ray doesn't show if you've got a ruptured disc or herniated disc or any type of trauma to the spine like that. X-ray just shows if something's broken, if there's pathology. So it may not take care of every situation, but what I have seen over the years is that when you have a specialist, and again, physical medicine, PM&R is a specialty, that's really high up there. And that carries a lot of weight, because the claims examiners use it both ways as well. They say, oh, this report was signed by, in one case, an OBGYN. Like, we're not going to take that. Or signed by an internal medicine. Our doctor said this. So we're trying to go ahead and put you people in the right position, or the best position to win. And winning just means that you get what you're entitled to, you get the care you need, and you get back to the way you were before that. But you're right.
Or as close as
They
possible.
sit there and say, well, I'm not going to speak up. Why would I speak up? I don't want to lose my job or get injured or have something happen. And the best way for us to handle that is get good, strong medicals, because at the end of the day, the medicals don't lie. An MRI doesn't lie.
Yeah, I went back to work.
Yeah.
And I was pushing 800-pound BMC in JFK, because the bags you and I can get into and fit another person. That's how big these bags are.
Wow.
An 800-pound, and one of the wheels was not working right. Everything was jammed in with these new automation. They try to make room. So you're not supposed to be pulling anything, because safety is you're supposed to be pushing.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But we had I said, can you give me a mail handler? Because that's not even my job. He said, we don't have a mail handler. Do the best you can.
So you're
And
stuck.
I wind up, it was 5 years later, I wind up re-injuring at same disc with more discs involved. Now they
Yeah.
want to do fusion on my spine.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll be crippled by the time they finish.
Well, yeah.
That's basically what you told me, you gave in.
No, I didn't get that.
If you're
I'm not working right
you're
now.
not supposed to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I forgot, I don't know, Matt has been very helpful in making certain that whether your claim's accepted right away or not, and Dr. Malemi orders an MRI for you, they'll go ahead and take you and get the MRI done. Is that right, Matt?
That's correct, yeah.
So we appreciate that, because our success rate is so high, and we tell our other people around the country, stick with us. We get a lot of the cases, 100% of the cases approved, close to 100%.
Can you get this, can your office get to see a sentence from workman's comp? Like, can you get it? Can you get the report from the hurt employee?
well, it's all on your ecomp file and your case file.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
So-
Can you get that yourselves?
No,
Well,
we would need your password and all that.
So the way we do that in most offices, you'd sit with either Jessica or Leslie, and you download it, or they tell you how to download it, you bring it in, or have access to that, give it to them.
Yeah.
And this way we can go through that. We have case managers that work with the team here, meaning that if they need support, we make certain that they get the support they need to help fill out the forms and help you. So the answer is yes, but you would have to initiate that.
Well, of course.
Yeah. And you had a question.
I have a question. So with the specialist being the doctor here, I had surgery. Do I have to, now that I'm coming here, do I have to continue with, because I know there's a thing on there about switching doctors and you have to fill out a report to like get approved to have a new doctor or something like that. Do I still have to see my surgeon?
So let me give you a shortcut. There's a rule in OWCP that to change doctors, you have to write a request to change treating physicians.
Right.
And the claims examiner can say no. Okay. Well, they like to say no. However, there's another rule that says all referrals shall be accepted. So your doctor can write a referral. It just bypasses the whole thing.
Because I would prefer to just continue to come here and not see my surgeon, because I go there for 5 minutes, he touches my foot, and he's like, okay, you're good to go.
Yeah. There's another rule that says that any doctor that would like to remove themselves from a claim can just write a letter requesting it, and that also shall be granted. So your doctor can be removed. There's a couple of ways around it.
The one that did the surgery.
Yeah, it can be removed.
And you can, okay.
And now what's in it for that doc? He's probably not getting paid. Well, as soon as we fix it, he's going to get paid. Right?
So on
So
that,
it's not reasonable to say no to that.
right, on that note, typically what's happened historically is that when someone sees a surgeon, a specialist outside the group referred by Dr. Malemi or anybody else, you don't stay with that person forever. You complete your care there, the surgery in this case, and you go someplace for therapy to strengthen and rehab the injured and affected area. And so that's where Dr. Malemi's group and the team would come into play here. If you're required, if the surgeon says they want to follow up with you once a month, or unless it's surgical, or he's going to do an injection, there's not a lot more that the surgeon can do, because by definition, they're doing surgery.
My surgery was in October,
Yeah.
so I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's no point in me
Yeah.
seeing him now that I'm.
But your claim examiner may have listed this doctor as your treating physician. You would know that by looking at your case file.
So Dr. Malemi's already put in paperwork, and I guess, I don't know if he's already got paid from them yet.
So I don't want you to care about that at all.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't
But I do,
matter.
I mean, he's, yeah.
But don't worry about that. He's going to be fine. Get a referral from that doctor. That's just the icing on the cake. That's it. You're open. And the doctor, why would he not want to? He never has to fill out another form, ever.
Well, and there's another piece to that. The other piece, and I'll stop at this part here. When an MD refers to another MD, they're taught that. They're taught to refer to other specialists in the group. They're not taught necessarily to refer to a chiropractor or a PT or someone else. So when you're dealing with, I use the joke, when you're dealing with a Cadillac or Mercedes, I guess, or maybe even Lexus, and your physician is a specialist, and Dr. Malemi is, one specialist referring to another one, that's very normal.
Yeah.
You go to a hospital emergency room, you're going to see this specialist, this specialist, this specialist. By the time you walk out, you're seeing, it's not referring to internal medicine. I'm not saying they have no place in this, but this is not. It's muscle and joint and spine problems. So it's very normal to refer to another specialist for ongoing physical medicine and physical therapy to help assist the surgical intervention that occurred. Very normal to do that. And that's the benefit, again, of the office here. Most of the other offices, the other one or two offices in the area, they have an MD on staff that never sees the patient. They never see the patient. Why anybody would go to an office where you're never going to see the MD, I don't know. It's hard for me to understand. If it was me or my mother when she was alive, I'm going to see who? And her broken Italian. I'm going to see someone else, not the doctor. What did I come here for?
Right.
So when you come to this office, you're seeing a doctor. You're not seeing a nurse. You're not seeing a chiropractor to help write the report. You're seeing an MD with a physical therapy staff.
Thank you. So
Kind of piggyback question with hers. She's already receiving her supposedly accepted, but for a reconsideration, do you still need a referral letter or anything from one doctor to the next if you switch them?
anytime you're going to change doctors and you want the new doctor to be your permanent treating physician, you either need to get a claims examiner to say yes to that, or you need a referral.
I've changed 2 doctors.
They normally will just, it's funny. Okay, I don't want to talk about money because I don't really even care, but they'll always pay the doctor. That's why I said, don't worry about doctor. It's going to be fine. So I handed everybody a brochure. Did you have anything else? I'm just cutting you
that's
off.
it. No, I'm good.
You can keep
That was
that.
it?
I got one too.
Changing the doctor, can they actually deny you?
Oh, they do it all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we have ways around it.
I actually have one more question.
Yeah, please.
With the pay, so limited duty, I don't know how it works, but maybe somebody.
I'll tell you exactly.
So,
Yeah.
if you go back, how do you get paid? Do you get paid 4 hours here?
Depends on what-
Comp or 4 hours from the office, like how does that pay work?
Let's say that you go back and you're restricted to 4 hours a day and your standard work shift is 8. Then along with your CA7, there's a form called a CA7A. It's a time analysis form. And you would just, that form's purpose is to write on there how many hours of LWOP you got paid and how many hours you worked. And then they'll pay you for the rest. Something like that. They delineate it and make sure you get paid the whole time.
Even with me being on the monthly payroll that I'm on
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, so you got hurt and you were working 8 hours a day. It doesn't make 12 hours a day. But it's not reasonable to say, well, now that you're hurt, you only get 4.
Right.
It's not fair. And that's one place they try to get fair. So you should get it all. Yeah.
Piggyback question off of that as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah, right?
When you go back to work, right, well, one statement to a question. When you go back to work, your supervisor gives you a form saying that you're gonna start this light duty, whatever, these amount of hours at the office, and the rest is getting paid from, workers' comp. Now, when you go in and make that CA7 7A form, workers' comp should automatically already know that you went back to work, and since your supervisor or manager says that they sent in that paperwork, basically my question is, if they overpay you without you having realized it,
Yeah.
what do you do about that? Because,
They're going to come and get it.
right, but so if you don't have it because you used it, not realizing like, hey, they overpaid me this, how do you get them to like,
They'll take it
not
back.
back off?
It'll come out of your paychecks.
Okay.
You gotta call those, the second floor, I said second floor, finance, and they can either work out, so if you owe a certain amount, then if it's too much for you to pay right away, you can work a plan with them. And they'll take it directly out your check,
Okay,
and you'll see it.
And also get with your union to make sure they don't really hose you bad.
okay, but so even if it's their fault for not, like, you.
Doesn't matter anymore.
No?
They're gonna get their money back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just like the IRS.
Yeah, they're coming to get it.
They never gonna give you money this time.
Yeah. Any other questions?
What do you want to go back?
You don't have to. You can work someplace else. You don't have to go back. There's federal disability, which isn't a great deal, but it's available to people. And
I just can't go back to the post office.
yeah, you can go anywhere you want. You are not handcuffed to the post office. Heard that before.
No, I'm serious. I have issues with it. If I go back, you'll make the newspaper.
Well, you might want to stay home a little longer then.
You're on.
So we're here for a little just refreshments. We're here for a while longer. Any questions in private if you'd like to ask Chris and Gini?
But with that said, I handed everybody a brochure. There was a reason I did that, because in advance, I know you're all going to say yes. Who do you know at work? Or it's a yes or no. Do you know somebody at work we can help? Right? You know 3 people when you really think about it. I only gave you 1, but we have more. So would everybody just commit to telling somebody? That's the key. Just tell somebody. Tell somebody, because you had people walking around thinking that they only had 30 days to report. They didn't know it was 3 years. They're walking around thinking there's no way they can get a claim accepted because it's impossible, except if you come here, right? And there are other people that are thinking, I'm going to have to stay home. How am I going to pay rent? So just think about that. There's somebody out there that we can help, and that's the key. That's why we're doing this whole thing, is who can we help? So I'm going to leave these sitting next to the drinks so everyone will find it. And we'd really appreciate just telling somebody. Oh, and you can, for all of you online, you can find us other places than wherever you're at. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and like 8 different places, and YouTube, and we even have a TikTok page. So anybody here do TikTok? Super awesome time waster. Like, you can waste hours. The first time I was ever on it, my phone went dead. It's like, how long have I been doing this? 8 hours. Okay, so it's a great time waster, but it's also how I found the pizza place today.
You say you're gonna open more offices, you're thinking about it, you're gonna do it, but I just wanna give you, Bronx, they have a lot of space. Just go there.
So our goal is to be in all the boroughs and upstate. We want to be everywhere. Yeah. Our goal is to be everywhere. So our mission is to be within range of every federal employee in all 50 states. So we're working on it. We're in 27 states. Are we hiring?
I'm just thinking about my family.
We're in Charlotte. We're in Greenville, South Carolina as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter.
We've got several offices throughout the South.
Just go on the website, that Federal Injury Center's website you're talking about, all the locations are there.
Yeah.
And in Florida, right? You said?
We got every corner of Florida. We got somebody. We live in Florida. That was easy for us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because we know everybody. So that wasn't that hard. Well, thank you all for being here. And all of you, thanks for your good questions. And follow us. We have a podcast. It's called the Breaking OWCP Podcast. That's Joe's favorite name. Breaking OWCP. We're breaking the code. We're not actually trying to break them, but they do that to you. And so I named it that. So go to the Breaking OWCP podcast, and this will probably end up there because every time we do something live, we post it there as well. So people on the West Coast that are 3 hours behind us can have a chance to hear it because they're all still at work.
When I found you guys, I saw something about one of the forms that had to get filled out. It was all the way in the bottom that they pointed out in the video. They said before you fill out the CA1 or CA2, make sure you fill this out. And it was all the way in the bottom that I already did it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be accepted because of that.
No, you're going to be fine.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much. See you next time.